Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So, I guess we're talking about a very different topic today compared to all the other videos,
Yep.
but extremely different, I should say.
Extremely different, something close to our hearts, I believe. And we both are fans of Manchester United. And so today it's 6th of August, and this is the week, or like this weekend, the new season of the English Premier League starts.
4 more days.
And we are here, yeah, exactly. And we are here to give a preview of the season, what we think we want to see or is going to see, or we will be wearing a United fan hat and also maybe a football analyst hat, or just, yeah, it will be a biased opinion. We will be giving a Manchester United perspective, but we can also give a perspective like where we think things are going, and just an overall preview.
Yeah, and I think I should also mention that even though we're both fans of the same club, we tend to not have the same opinion on a lot of things a lot of times. Especially on this, we have a lot of disagreements. So I think that should be fun.
Yeah, that should be fun. So I'll let you have you start. What are your hopes for the season of Manchester United, and what are you hoping for? What do you think is going to happen, or like how the season is going to pan out?
Um,
So yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer this in a way where what I would consider to be a good season, basically, a good season versus a bad season. And so for me, a good season would be not necessarily win the Premier League, the title, but at least stay within the competition of it, like stay within winning it at least up to the last 2 3 weeks maybe, unlike the last season where we were out of the race like fairly early and Man City were like pretty much winning it, like everyone almost knew City was going to win it like a way before the season ended. uh, I so a good season would be that we are at least competing for the title, not necessarily win it, but at least compete or challenge for it. um, uh, with regards to the FA Cup or the other League Cup, I don't really care about the League Cup. For the FA Cup, I don't know, a lot of people, especially I think people who are from the UK and like who have grown up in that scenario. I think the FA Cup has a little more. I feel like it has a little more prestige than the Premier League itself, but I don't feel the same way. I think the Premier League is a more difficult competition to win than the FA Cup in many ways, and they're very different. So I'm not sure if winning the FA Cup is really that important to me, but winning it would definitely be good. We should still be competing for every single trophy that we can. So I think we should at least be able to win the FA Cup, because it's not one of those cups where um, I see us losing, because in a knockout game, I think it's easier to beat a City or Chelsea or Liverpool than to win the league over an entire season. I think the FA Cup, in many ways, is an easier cup to win than the Premier League, in my opinion. And in the Champions League, I would say we have to make at least the quarterfinals or the semi-final of the knockout stage. I really don't expect us to win. I don't think that's a realistic expectation at all. Um, but as long as we make the quarterfinal or the semi-final, I would go with the semi-final uh, of the Champions League. I think that would what constitute a good season for me. So I would say at least one trophy at the end of the season.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, a good season is always only when we win the league, and at the beginning of the season, even before the first match has started, and I am always an optimist, and I also think that we should aim for that title, and anything less than that is a failure, and that's because we have a legacy of winning championships, and it's been 4 or 5 years. 2013 May, when was the last time we tasted the title, and that was when the last season of Sir Alex Ferguson. And yes, we have been rebuilding, we have been changing managers, we have been changing, buying new players, selling players. So the color of the team has been changing every year,
Constantly.
and so the current manager, um, Jose Mourinho, one of the best managers in the world, and he has a very good track record, and he has won titles in England, Spain, Italy, and so he is known for winning. But what has happened with our club and him as that first season, yes, I as a fan did not expect him to win the league the first season because he was inheriting a squad from the previous manager and he wanted to bring his own vision, and that was never expected. So that season we won the UEFA Cup, the Europa League, sorry. Europa League, and that was a trophy that we didn't win before. So anyway, even if it's a tier two European competition, it's not the big leagues. Anyway, we won that, and we also won the League Cup. So I was very happy with that season. Last season was when I expected us to win the league, and that's because Mourinho, not just because he's known for winning in the second year. I thought we would build on the momentum of the first season with Jose and add to the squad and win the league. But that did not happen, unfortunately. We played better than the season before, but we couldn't play better than our competition, which was Manchester City. They finished first, we finished second. We were 19 points behind them, so that's a huge gap to catch up. So I was disappointed that we didn't win the league and we didn't win anything. So for me personally, it was a downgrade from the season before. At least we won two cups. We finished second in the league and in this season, and we didn't do anything. But this season, I want us to win. I actually think that our squad is not the worst squad like people are making it out to be. It's a good squad, and I believe it's in the manager's hands to bring the best out of it. And yes, we need more squad strengthening. We need additions at some places, and certain other teams are really stronger than us on paper. And but for us, like I feel a sense of like pessimism among the fandom that the expectations are low and all that. But for me, I at least going into the season, the first game, we should have a positive frame of mind with the aim to win the league and win points, go game by game. So I think we do have the talent to the team, and it just depends upon the manager. I will put that in this season the manager has to perform better, bring the most out of his players, and I think yes, players also have to stand up and be countered and be responsible for. But I believe like we have made a few good additions, like Fred, the player. I think he might be the missing link in the midfield three, a formation where Pogba can bring out his best apparently. And we still need to reinforce our defense, but everything said, everything considered, I still think we have to fight for the title.
I agree. So I think we have to fight for the title, but realistically, I don't think we're going to win it because I still think City are still going to be better than us. Just they still have a much better squad. That's the only reason why I don't think we would win it. But as I said, I want us to be competing for the title as long as possible, as late into the season as possible, because that is the only way we have a chance of winning it. Assuming City has a drop in form, they lose key players or whatever, something happens, and they start dropping points. I want us to be at least competing at that stage to be able to capitalize on their dropping points. I don't think this is one of those seasons where we would beat everyone to win the title. I think this is one of the seasons where we have to stay relevant in the title race and expect someone to drop, and then we capitalize on it. I think that is pretty much the only reason I can see us winning the Premier League this season.
How do you see the transfer, and how do you see the transfer business we have done so far, and where do you think we need strengthening, and where do you think we need to offload a few people?
So, to be honest, I have no idea about how Fred or the new right back Diogo Dalot plays. Like, I have not seen either of them play. But what I really expected of the transfer season is for us to sell players that we didn't want, sell players that we were not happy with, or sell players that we had probably given too many chances already, and they've not really performed so far. I think we need to be a little bit more cutthroat with our approach to dealing with players. I think that is something we had during the Ferguson era, because he was not afraid to sell a player, even though no matter how good he was. Like, even if the player was playing really well, if he felt that player was not fitting into the squad, he was gone. And I think we need to get back to that phase where it shouldn't be about who is a fan favorite, who's selling more t-shirts or jerseys. If the player isn't the right player for the dressing room, they should be out. Like, I think we need to get that mentality in, because we probably have I wouldn't say we have bad players or mediocre players. I think we have good players, but I think there's a sense of lethargy in them that I almost feel like there are some players who feel like they cannot be dropped even though if they perform bad, because there's just no one else who's either at that level or competing with them to sort of replace them. Um, Even though I don't, you probably have heard me argue that you cannot really have competition for every single position on the field on a starting 11. But sometimes there are some players who need competition in order for them to play better. And for those players, either we bring in the competition or we get them out. Because if unless you find the competition to get this player to elevate their performance, they're not going to play at a higher level. So we're only going to keep having a potentially good player playing at say like 70 or 60% of their full potential throughout a season, and we don't want that. We want everyone to be able to perform at 100% as much as possible, right? I think another segue here is basically the same question that you asked me. What do you think about the new signings? And you were one of the people. You actually correct me if I'm wrong. Did you go for one of the preseason games or no?
No, I did not. It was too expensive for me to afford this year. I did go for one game last year, and that was a dream come true for me. But no, I didn't go to any of the preseason games this year live. I mean,
well, I generally don't think preseason games are a good indicator of anything. In many ways, I only see them as like a ways for the manager to sort of get the team's fitness up, like the squad fitness back up to a reasonable level. I don't really see it as an indicator of how we're going to play in the season at all. So basically the same question. What do you think of the signings we've done in the transfer market? And that's pretty much it.
On that, no, I'll agree with you on that point about preseason. Yes, I do think that preseason is not an indicator where you judge like where the team is going to end or how the team is going to play in the league, because in the past we have played really well in the preseason and we have won every team, and then in the league we didn't do that well. So it's exactly, I agree with you completely on that it's just a platform for the managers to assess the fitness levels and for the players, and also get it going and maybe experiment a few plans and all that. And so I don't think that preseason is an indicator for how a club would perform in the league. Coming back to my take on the transfers, yes, Fred, of course, I have not seen him play before in a season, but I did see a little of him, like how he plays in the preseason. So yeah, it's too early to judge him, too early to assess him. I want to see a few games, how he fits into how he plays with his teammates and how he plays with his other midfielders, like when Pogba is back, when Matic is back, when supposedly the first choice midfield three, if we play that formation, how they play. And so that's there. And I would also like to add a point like Andreas Pereira, our youth player, young player. He's 22 now, but anyway, he was on loan for 2 years, and so I see him as a new signing actually. When he plays, he can be an option. He's not a starter, but he can be an option. He gives something different. He has a good passing range. He has a quick feet, of course, like Brazilian. He has some skills, and he has a good passing range, and he has some experience now. Played in Spain, so I think he would get few minutes and few games this season, and he would be a very good squad player. So I see him as as a transfer or a new signing. And the other right back, Diego Dalot, I don't know how his name is pronounced. I have not seen him play. So we'll see how he's scheduled to be back in September. So we'll see how he plays, because those are the two things, two areas, in my opinion, we need strengthening: the right back and left back. Antonio Valencia, Ashley Young, workhorses, hard workers, team players. They have done really well for us in the past, but in my personal opinion, they are all pushing 32, 33, and we need backup. We never know when injuries happen, and I personally feel a left-footed player should be a left back. But that doesn't disqualify Ashley Young, but he's doing a good job. But a left-footed player, and also both these players started as wingers, if you remember. They are not natural defenders. They're doing an excellent job, but that's not their natural position. So these two areas, I think we need strengthening, and we'll see how Dalot does and we'll see if Luke Shaw steps up to the plate. And in the central defense, I was hoping Bai would give us one proper season, would stay injury free and play all games. And also, I don't know what's happening with the future of Victor Lindelof. I hear he wants to leave. But if he and Bai can form a very solid defensive partnership, that will be good. So when I analyze my team, just to take an yes, a team has 11 players plus the squad players, but we have the best goalkeeper in the world, arguably. We also have now a newly crowned world champion, Paul Pogba. He's in red hot form. We also have a very good striker in Lukaku. We criticize him. I criticized him a lot last season because his conversion rate was not up to my expectations as a fan. But he is a good striker. He's a reliable striker. So, and I also have high hopes from Alexis Sanchez. This is his first full season with us, and he played well in the preseason. Hopefully, he continues doing that, and he's a class act. So, I do think we are not such a bad team as people are making out to be compared to us. Yes, City is much stronger than us. I'll give you that, and we have to find a way to get more points than them. But compared to Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal has a new manager. They are coming after the Arsene Wenger era, and
Chelsea has
Liverpool.
a new manager.
Yes, what's that?
Chelsea has a new manager too.
Chelsea has a new manager, and they haven't bought anybody either. And they're going to miss Hazard, Courtois, the goalkeeper, the Belgian goalkeeper. Didn't show up for training. So I see the perception that our club is in crisis as a little overblown because every club has problems. Like Courtois wants to force a move. They want to have N'Golo Kante and Hazard and Giroud in the beginning of the season, and they're there. Liverpool are on paper they have a very good team. They're good, strong, but I wouldn't call them title contenders right away. But they would. They have bought a very good goalkeeper, so I'll give them that. And so I don't think that we have such a bad team. We'll see. I want us to start well in the season. So let's see how we play Leicester. First game, they don't have Jamie Vardy. They don't have Riyad Mahrez now. And so they don't, Harry Maguire, I don't think he's going to start the first game. So sometimes when I see in the media, like so much of negativity from our manager and all that, like maybe it's a pressure tactic on the Ed Woodward just to get him to make some signings. But yeah, that's what I think. And yes, we still need signings, but we should play with who we have.
Yeah, I actually don't want new signings unless we sell some people. I just think we have an already overblown payroll, and it makes no sense to have unhappy players in the dressing room. It's just going to be bad for the entire squad. So if someone is not going to play, we either loan them out or sell them. Basically, I really don't see any point in having them. And again, I don't disagree with you. Like, we have a really good squad. It's just been that either we've not been getting the best out of the squad, or we've just been. I mean, last season we had a few bad games. We played really well in some games. There were a few games where we actually executed a game plan perfectly. We got the result, but so we only lost out on the title because City were clearly a better team. Like, they were a better squad. They still look like they are the better squad. They have a much better defense. They have better strikers, and I think they've made some signings as well already. And Pep Guardiola, he's been able to instill his way of playing into that team really well. So I think they're playing in the way the manager wants them to play. So City are still, I think, the team to beat. And I think with teams like Arsenal and Chelsea, I think it's going to be a bit of hit and miss. They could be really good under new manager with new players. They could get some really good results right away and then surprise everyone, or it could be a transitionary phase where they're going to get some results right, some results wrong, and yeah. So, but regardless, I think they would still be difficult games for us. Liverpool is one team that I'm actually kind of worried. I don't think they would win the league as well, but I think they are capable of causing problems for all the other teams. Like, I think Liverpool is one of those teams that would do really well in a knockout format of the game rather than in a league format, because I think the style of play that Klopp employs in the sense that high press and like has his players running throughout the team throughout the game for the 90 minutes. I think it works really well in a knockout format, so I think they'll do really well in the FA Cup or the Champions League. But for the league, I think that would you would see there's going to be a lot of burnout in the players, especially during the December, January, Feb time when you start having a lot of injuries and players being not available for the games. And I think that's when Klopp will see a lot of burnout, and I think that's when they usually start dropping points and then end up losing out of the title race. But I still think they are a really good squad. I think they already signed Shaqiri as well. So they've added another really good attacker to their already strong attacking group that they have. So they have right now, they've got Mane, Shaqiri, Firmino, and Salah.
Allison, he will get you points because there was a time like when for us, Peter Schmeichel, he used to win us point games, and like David De Gea, he used to save points. Like he used to like earn like 5 points for the team throughout the season or 10 points. And for Liverpool, their goalkeeper in the last season wasn't that impressive. He cost them points. So that will be an added advantage, Liverpool, for us. For me, I see Alisson as a really good signing.
I saw this really funny post though that Liverpool paid 67 million for a keeper against whom they scored 7 goals. so I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's that. So I want to ask you a question. Like, just put your prediction act and see. Do you see anyone coming before the Thursday transfer deadline?
No.
For us, any incoming, any outgoing?
I would expect outgoing. I would probably expect someone like Martial to leave. Either a Jones or a Smalling to leave. And probably the under 21 players would probably go out on loan. I would say someone like Fosu Mensah is probably going on loan another season. Who else would I think is going out on loan? I think Pereira is probably staying. Either he has to stay and play the season or he's going to be sold off. I don't think he would be happy with going out on loan again at this time. So either they need to make a choice and make him a part of the squad or he's not a part of the squad. I think they have to make the decision this season. So I don't know. Like Fellaini is not going. He just had an extension. I thought he would be one of those people who would leave, but Fellaini is not leaving clearly. So I would also expect, like, if we're selling, we should probably sell Luke Shaw. I really don't think I think he's been given too many chances already. I just don't think he's got the right attitude, the mental attitude for...
Who's the backup for us if Ashley Young... if we sell Luke Shaw and we don't have anyone to replace him, look, how does that play into like the squad
I mean, we've already been playing Darmian as a left back over Luke Shaw, even when Luke Shaw was available. So I really don't think we're going to miss...
You don't think Darmian will leave? There are even rumors of Darmian leaving and wanting to leave.
Yeah, I don't... So when he played, I didn't think of him as being very impressive. But I don't think he's also horrible either. So I think he's like a decent player. He's very Italian in the way he does his defense. I think he's probably one of the few the wing backs we have who probably defense first over attack and stuff. So both Valencia and Ashley Young are a little more attack oriented than defensive oriented, in my opinion. So I think Darmian is probably a good player to have if we have a really, really good central defending pair as well. So assuming Bailly, as you said, is fit for the entire season and has a string of consistent performances, and I really liked how Lindelof played during the World Cup. I think he had a really terrific World Cup. So if he brings that form again into the season, I think Bailly and Lindelof would be a really good central defending pair. So I would see Darmian would fit in perfectly as a right back in that scenario, because I think Bailly tends to venture forward a little bit. He's a little more adventurous as a centre back, but I think Darmian is more defensive oriented. He'll sit back and cover that position a little bit. So I'm not worried if he leaves or if he stays. Like Darmian, I don't see him as a problem in the squad at all. I understand why he wants to leave because he's clearly not getting picked ahead of Valencia, which is a problem because Valencia is a lot older than him. But Valencia is also a lot more faster, and I guess it's just a case of having that one more person who can get a ball into the box, even though Valencia is horrible at crossing. I don't think Darman is that great at crossing either, but yeah. So I think I'm not worried if Darman stays. But
Okay, so
going back to the list, the people I would possibly want to sell are Marshall, um, and Shaw, and Smalling and Jones, maybe. Not both
Smalling
of
and
them.
Jones.
Smalling
Okay.
or Jones, I should say.
Okay, Smalling
One of
or
them.
Jones. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Not
So I
not
think
short changes.
we have a few names in common there. I also want Chris Smalling to be sold if possible for the right price, and I wish. You know what? Yes, having all things considered, uh, it's better if Marshall is sold. But at the corner of my mind, I still like want to see him his potential being like realized. But I know it's in the hands of the players. He seems to be a little temperamental, blow hot, blow cold, and also maybe the manager and him don't get along. But if we don't get a right winger, I would like him to stay and maybe give one final chance. Like it's biased, of course, I'm biased, and maybe he got a few chances. But anyway, he's a really talented player, and I want to see him succeed. So that's there. So I want to see Smalling gone and Marcos Rojo maybe. I don't know how he adds. He used to be my favorite player, just to as a fun fact. But anyway, I've seen him play, and he's also a little temperamentally maybe not best suited for EPL defending. So I want these two people gone. And regarding my gut feeling, I feel we will bring one more player before the Thursday deadline, but I don't know who. I think it would be one of the defenders, anybody. It could be Toby Alderweireld, it could be Harry Maguire, it could be the player from Barcelona.
I don't really understand why we need another central defender though.
Maybe Jose Mourinho is not happy with the options he has, but anyway.
I mean,
I feel that the. Huh? What's that?
In my opinion, I feel like Lindelof is a starter when he comes back. Basically, I don't know if he's back in training already, but so I think Lindelof should be a starter this season. He's had like last season was his first season. Understandable, he was still getting used to the English game and everything, but I think he has to start more games this season. I see him as being one of our starters at least this season. He has the ability to be really, really solid at the back, and I think he would be a very good starter. So again, if we're bringing either Alderweireld or Maguire, I really don't think both of them need much time to get used to the English game because they've already played in the league. So I would only see them as someone who's pairing with Lindelof. So that would mean either Bailly or, well, I guess Bailly is the only other choice there to start with Lindelof. Bailly is probably going to fall down the pecking order as the starter. which probably means that Jose is not happy with how he's been performing so far.
Exactly.
I guess it makes sense because again he's been injury prone, not had a full season so far. So yeah.
And in the same way, I do feel like we need a right winger, but I don't want us to buy United to buy anybody.
A right winger.
A right-sided winger. Maybe if we play that formation, but yeah, we do need somebody right-sided.
We never really play with wingers though.
We do 4-3-3. Like we need to use the width of the pitch, in my opinion, and we have a lot of like players interested in the.
We play 4-3-3.
Position.
We would have the front three would be Alexis, Lukaku, and either Mata or Lingard.
They all try to drift in and don't seem to. They all seem like centrally oriented players, and that's what in my own assessment, and also I saw the manager saying. So no, I do feel there is a need of one, but I don't think we'll get one because there are. I don't want us to buy anyone. It has to be the right person. Perisic, I don't think that deal is happening. The Croatian wingers. So I don't know if anybody else is available. So my hopes is just to bring one more signing. I think we'll get one more signing, some defensive position. But we'll see how it goes. So I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
So put you on the spot. Just we do this in our WhatsApp group, but I'll ask you anyway. Your predictions for the opening game, score line, and who's going to score?
Leicester. I would expect us to win 3-0.
Good.
Oh, Sorry, 3-0? No, I'm going to change it back because Lukaku is not playing. Because if Lukaku was there, I think we would score a lot more. But I think without Lukaku, I think we'll only get like a 1-0
Okay.
against Leicester. Uh, Probably be like a Sanchez goal to get us the
Yeah,
win.
yeah. I too have the same prediction: 1-0 United, and Alexis Sanchez for us.
Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll make the video for the next game, and we'll talk about this match, the review of the first match, and also looking forward to the next match.
Yeah. I think the season really begins for us, even though after we get Lukaku and Pogba back into the squad and they start playing the games regularly, because I think they are pretty much the central points of the attack for the team going forward. Yeah, it would be interesting to see that if we're playing either Fred and Matic or a McTominay and Matic or whatever combination of holding midfielders at the back, uh, basically freeing Pogba up to go and play that sort of attacking midfielder, sort of box to box midfielder role in many ways, and seeing if that basically frees him up to play his best game. Yeah, that is what I want to see because I think Lukaku, as far as I know, even though he doesn't convert as many chances as he could, like he's a little frustrating in that sense that you see him get these really good chances where you can clearly see him thinking about his shot and then he misses it. And every time he doesn't have to think about his shot and his instinctive, he scores. So I would think that that is where I would like to see this season go. Is basically see Pogba and Lukaku, that partnership sort of grow better and basically get Sanchez and all of those guys involved as well.
So exactly, next time we're speaking, hopefully we have 3 points on the board. We win the first game, and we'll maybe happily look forward to the second game and look back at the first game.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it was nice discussing a different topic for a change with you. And yeah, that's all I had from my side.
All right. See you next week then.
See you next week. Yeah.